2024 has been the biggest year ever for cozy gamers, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. But with there being so many more cozy game announcements than ever before, it's beginning to get a little bit harder to find the true gems among the cozy games. So I spent the last couple of weeks trying to find as many cozy game demos as possible to try and bring you the top 10 upcoming cozy games list. And first up, we have Luma Island. Now, I normally don't try and pick favorites when I'm making lists like these, but this has to be one of my favorite demos that I got to play over the entirety of Steam Next Fest. Now, at first, I sort of assumed that this was going to be just a bog standard farming sim, albeit a very pretty farming sim. But I've never been so happy to be wrong, as this seems to have something I've not really seen in a farming or life sim before, and that's the ability to pick between a whole set of different professions, each of which having their own objectives and difficulty level. Now, these range from easier professions like cooking and brewing that only require you to farm and gather resources, to much harder professions such as archaeology and jewelry crafting, which will require you to go into the mines. Now, at first, this might not sound that bad, especially if you played a lot of farming sims before, but honestly, these mines are absolutely terrifying. But if they're not your thing, you can completely avoid them if you want to. Now, the professions themselves come with a whole host of different quests and objectives for you to meet. However, there's so much to do outside of the professions as well. First up, you have the beautiful world to go and explore, filled with temples and caves filled with plenty of secrets. There's also the locals who will ask for your help from time to time as well, alongside the ability to craft and decorate. Ultimately, this is just a game about being able to play however you want to, and it somehow manages to combine a sandboxy feel with plenty of objectives that help you uncover the secrets of Luma Isle. And as excited as I am to play this by myself, I definitely think this is a game that I'll thoroughly enjoy with other people as well, so I'm very glad that it's multiplayer. And the best part of all is this comes out on November 20th. Now, we haven't got any news on when this is going to be coming to consoles after the PC launch, but fingers crossed because the demo was so much fun to play. Next up, we have Call of Boba. Now, this is a game where you play as a penguin who works in a boba store. And if that sentence hasn't already sold you, let me tell you why I've fallen in love with this demo. In this, you play as Boba, who decides to return to their charming little town after having a rough time trying to make it in the city. And despite having no plans upon the return to his hometown, he winds up meeting an old friend who invites him to work at their struggling boba store. And it's up to you, together with your friend, to try and make this the best boba store in town and return it to its former glory. Now, this is a game that truly has a little bit of everything, and I honestly can't believe how many different genres this is somehow combined. So you're more or less in charge of the entire restaurant, and it's your job to not only invent brand new boba drinks, but to then serve each of the customers who walk into the store, both of which have their own fun little mini games that can be a little bit stressful at times, but also is so much of what I love in a restaurant sim. Now, obviously, the cafe management takes up a big portion of the game, but when you're not working in the shop, there's also a fair amount of life sim elements going on as well, as you can do anything from talking to the store's owner to reconnecting with everyone that you fell out of touch with over the years, not only forming friendships, but even relationships as well. There's also a little bit of farming involved, which, if I'm gonna be real for a second, I feel like every game at the moment seems to have an element of farming just added into it, regardless of whether it needed it or not. And I personally feel like with everything else going on in this game, it's not necessarily needed, but it's there. But whilst all of these elements are fun, it's only when you go to sleep that you get to see this game at its full potential. Because when Bobo closes his eyes, a mysterious world awakens. And you'll find yourself fighting that which you love the most, which is boba ingredients. And it's only by defeating these in this dungeon crawler-like mini-game that you get not only new boba ingredients, but also new inspiration for brand new drinks as well. And it's honestly this combination between all these different gameplay mechanics that I never thought would go together, yet somehow work. And also the fact that all of the characters are just so quirky and so much fun to talk to that made me fall in love with the demo. Now, this doesn't officially have a release date yet. However, the devs have said that if the release goes well on the PC, then they will be bringing this game to the Nintendo Switch as well. So get wishlisting. Next up, we have Trash Goblin. The best way for me to describe this is that it's very similar to Power Wash Sim. It's just so satisfying and scratches such an itch in my brain whenever I play it. As in Trash Goblin, you run a shop where you uncover, clean, and upcycle trinkets, which you then get to sell on to willing customers. This will then allow you to use the money that you've earned to upgrade your shop with brand new tools, and even decorate as well. And every single element of this gameplay is just so satisfying. From the sound effects of chipping away the dirt, to the satisfaction of cleaning it, to uncover what's underneath, to being able to combine whichever objects you want to upcycle the trinket to eventually sell on. And although this is a game that can be played endlessly, they've also added in 15 different quests for you to complete as well. So if you're the type of person that needs a purpose to everything you do in the game, this has you covered. Now, this is releasing in early access on PC on November 6th. However, the developers have stated that this will be coming to consoles, including the Nintendo Switch, when it releases fully. The demo was a ton of fun, and I can't wait to see what other features lie in the early access release. Next up is Tanuki Pond Summer. Now, I've cheated with this one just a little bit in that it wasn't actually a demo and is just a newly released game, but it is so cute that I just had to share it. This game follows Pon, who takes on a part-time job at the local post office. And the game starts you off with just 1 month to go to the Tanuki festival. But the real issue is, the shrine is in complete disrepair, and it becomes your job to try and fix it up. So this will see you deliver mail on your BMX to the townsfolk, build up friendships with the locals, who will then invite you to their events, and will see you restore the shrine back to its former glory with the money and items you get from the deliveries and activities. And the game does all of this whilst also trying to be a love letter to Japan. This is a game that looks to have so much character, and I love seeing a Tanuki that's just willing to use his money to help people instead of charging villagers money to be deserted on a random island. You know who I'm talking about. Oh, and by the way, this game will also be releasing on Nintendo Switch. Next up, we have Locomotive. Now, this caught my eye because it is a fully voice-acted murder mystery. And this will be releasing sometime this year on PC and Nintendo Switch. The game itself is set aboard a 1930s train and follows the journey of 3 murder suspects as they try to unwrap the mystery to find the murderer of the wealthy heiress. And this game's vibes are absolutely impeccable. Every person you meet has so much character, they've done such a good job with the writing, and this plays very much like an old school point and click game. And thankfully, if you're someone who gets stuck a lot like I am, there's an inbuilt hint system in the game as well, so you won't be needing any walkthroughs. But by far the thing I'm the most excited for is how the 3 stories are going to intertwine with one another, as they follow a crime novelist, a lawyer, and an undercover spy. And this game kind of gives me Knives Out vibes, as it's a little bit funny, but also, you know, all about murder. Next up, we have Super Zoo Story. Now, this is another brand new game announcement that's been a very long time in the making, as I believe I first talked about this on my channel 2 years ago, but the Kickstarter for this only ended just last week. And although this has a striking resemblance to Stardew Valley, the premise itself is thankfully pretty different, as this will see you live your dream of giving endangered species a second chance by opening your very own wildlife park and building it from the ground up. And this kind of mixes together tycoon-like features with also life sim elements, as not only will it be up to you to design and build each of the habitats, you'll also have to care for each of the animals and make sure they're fed right and in the right environments. And you'll even be able to decorate the entire park as well. One thing I found particularly interesting is the fact that not only can you revive extinct species, meaning that you can have dinosaurs on your park, but you can also crossbreed species as well. Now, I will say, having looked at the Kickstarter, this does do the classic Kickstarter red flag thing for me, and that is that it promises a whole lot of gameplay, which is the exact problem Coral Island had, and the reason why Coral Island to this day is still not finished. As on top of everything I've mentioned so far, this game is also going to include farming so you can get food for your animals, friendship mechanics and romance where you can have children, a museum to fill, underwater worlds to explore, dungeons, and stretch goals that include a full tourist system and a bird aviary. I will definitely be keeping a close eye on this, considering how ambitious this seems to be, but it says that it'll be coming out in alpha access sometime in late 2025 and released fully in late 2026, including on the Nintendo Switch, which fingers crossed will have the Nintendo Switch 2 by then, so I guess we'll have to see which Switch they mean. Next up is Moonlight Peaks. Now, this was announced over a year ago, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait until 2026 to be able to play this in full. But they did give us a brand new demo that's gotten me even more excited. You see, this is a farming sim with a little bit of a twist, as not only do you play as a vampire, but you live in a town filled with werewolves, witches, and mermaids. And you set off with the hopes of proving to your father, Count Dracula, that a life of compassion is in fact possible. This will see you do all of your usual farming sim stuff, just with a little bit of magic thrown in. So first of all, seeing as you're a vampire, you actually can't go outside during the daylight. So all of your farming activities will be done in the nighttime. The crops that you'll be growing and looking after also won't be normal ones either, because as a vampire, you live off a strict diet of cursed food, meaning that you'll need to plant and cultivate cursed crops in order to survive. But thankfully, being a vampire does have a couple of perks. First of all, you'll be able to use spells to help you with your farming, and even brew potions to do anything from watering more plants at once or speeding up the growth of your crops. You'll also be able to transform into a bat to help you navigate your farm a little bit quicker. This game also has a huge focus on decorating not only your farm, but also your house as well, with a crafting and decorating style very similar to the likes of Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise. Now, although I had a lot of fun with the demo, it is pretty limited, and it really only focused on the farming and the decorating mechanics. This meant we didn't get to see too much of what will be the main storyline, and we also didn't get to see the town and its inhabitants as well. But the information we have on the game so far does seem to put a pretty heavy emphasis on the supernatural dating scene and trying to find your one true love. And even though I've been feeling pretty burnt out in the farming sim genre, this seems to do enough different that it's got me really excited for its release. Next up, we have While Waiting. Sometimes in life, you just need a cozy game that will make you laugh, and this is most definitely that. This is a game made up of a series of interactable scenarios, all about the art of waiting. With each of the levels you encounter having a series of increasingly wacky objectives to fulfill just while you wait. And some of these might be very self-explanatory, and some of them will definitely take some creative thinking to figure out. And these wacky goals, coupled with these very inventive levels, makes for a game where you never know what's gonna come next, but you just know you're gonna smile. This comes out in early 2025 on both PC and Nintendo Switch, and it's one of those games that really surprised me just how much I enjoyed playing it. Next up, we have Garden Trills. Have you ever looked outside your window and wondered what it would be like to be a bird? Well, now you don't need to wonder anymore. This is basically the bird equivalent to Hello Kitty Big City. But in this, you play as a sparrow who's moved to a brand new neighborhood. And you'll get to explore the world, meet adorable neighbors, and carry out quests for them and your family. All the while, you'll also be able to plant flowers, tend to the garden, and even take on different puzzles and challenges as well. But by far, my favorite part of the demo so far was the ability to earn and put on these funky hats that just make your sparrow look oh so good. I really like the fact that there's so many more games coming out that let you play as different animals, and they always have such fun twists to the gameplay as well. This was a lot of fun. It's honestly such a beautiful game, and I can't wait to see what more they have in store. Our final game on today's list is Hotel Galactic. Now, the reason I'm including this on another list is the fact that I've just got finished playing their very first demo. And although I thought I was looking forward to the game before I played the demo, this demo was so good, I just can't wait to get my hands on the full release. For those of you who aren't familiar, Hotel Galactic is a management game based on Studio Ghibli. And this will see you transform a rundown intergalactic hotel into a thriving tourist destination. And this lets you micromanage literally every aspect of owning a hotel. First of all, you can build each and every one of the rooms. You then get to decorate them and craft the furniture for them however you see fit. And then it's up to you to tend to each of your customers, which includes picking the menu each and every day and ensuring the cook has all of the ingredients he needs in order to do his job. One really cool aspect I really like about this that I've never seen in a hotel management game before is the fact that you have to factor in how your staff members can get around the hotel. So in the demo, you only got to build a single lift that was in the middle of the hotel, and this lift could only take a certain amount of people inside of it at any one time, which meant that a lot of the things you wanted your staff members to do were hindered by how often they needed to go up and down this lift, which I thought was a really cool thing to have to deal with. Now, I only got to play about 30 minutes before the demo ended, but this is definitely a world I can see myself being lost in. It's also a game that I can see being incredibly chaotic at times, especially if you increase the number of staff that are running around the place. And I was devastated that the demo itself was only 30 minutes long, as I could see myself playing this for a long time. And we also found out that this game will be coming to the Nintendo Switch, which I think will make a lot of people happy. That's it for my list today. If there's any fantastic demos that you played, be sure to leave them in the comments down below. And if you want to check out the games I have the most amount of hours in, click this video here.